Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of RevOps Demos That Don't Suck. My name is Matthew Baum, the CEO and founder of RevOps Co-op, a global community of 13,000, almost 14,000 plus folks from all across the globe. And one of the many things that we do for our members is take demos of leading cutting edge technology products relevant to folks in revenue operations so that you can get a good sense of all the tools that are out there and what they can do for you. And so today we are sitting down with Adam Wainwright, who is the head of revenue over at Cacheflow. Cacheflow is a CPQ quote to cash platform for SaaS companies, but I'll let Adam tell us more about that, and he'll obviously be showing us around the product as well. Adam, first, I guess I'll let you add anything to that personal and kind of company introduction.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you making some time and letting me come in here and give you guys a quick little harbor tour of the platform. I think the headline for me is, as you mentioned, I'm the head of revenue here at Cacheflow, but I've more importantly spent maybe 13 years working with customers in the CPQ space, revenue operations space, contract lifecycle management space, and spent a little time selling learning management. So I've really been working largely with companies trying to help them get better visibility and better performance out of the revenue teams.
Yeah, that's great. So yeah, you've lived and breathed this stuff for a while, and so CPQ, quote to revenue, quote to cash, a very relevant part of any revenue operations team and role. So before we get into kind of the product and all of the great things that the product can do, I always like to start with the problem space. So for the revenue operator out there who might be watching this or looking at this, what's the problem space that y'all are operating in? What are some things that RevOps person might be experiencing today that you all are on a mission to solve for?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's really what brought me to Cacheflow in the first place. Two ways to approach that. Anecdotally, I've built revenue teams in every business I've been with. And one of the first things that I find myself doing is hitting roadblocks when it comes to actually closing deals. And so selfishly, improving the seller's life is something that I've spent a lot of time doing, but it all is inextricably linked, of course, with revenue operations, because revenue operations has to take all of this behavior and translate it into something that the business can now track, measure, manage in terms of revenue. It's the lifeblood of the business. And so what we're solving for our customers today, of course, is that revenue operations is often struggling with sort of fragment, disparate data systems and data sets that enable them to have a clear picture of everything that's happening in the business, so that at the strategic level, CFO and the CEO and the CTO are all aligned on all the things that we need to do in order to execute towards our revenue North Star. And so what we've built at Cacheflow is we've built a seamless system that not only connects from a quote to cash perspective, the whole up funnel workflows, closing the customer, but we also now extend it down into finance by also enabling revenue operations and finance teams to come in and also manage subscription management, billing and invoicing, billing schedules. And so from our system, the proposal process is the same thing as the subscription management process. And of course, because revenue operations is the main beneficiary, what we're really doing is we're feeding all of your revenue ecosystem with the data necessary to manage your revenue.
Yeah, makes sense. And that's one of those things, thinking back to my time on the revenue operations and business operations side, I know I've lived in the space where you've had disparate tools across those different elements. And maybe maybe that secret that was hiding in plain sight that you all are out to solve for was the fact that these two things don't need to be separate. They are one and the same, right? The proposal and the contract and the things that you sign to get the deal over the finish line are the same things that you're going to ultimately bill and charge and get your customer to pay for. And so why are you handling those things in different tools, different systems, right? I'm thinking back to times when we get a deal over the finish line, a proposal over the finish line, then it's like, all right, if I don't create like this subscription in our subscription management tool on that same day, then it means that start date is going to be off because I can't go in and backdate it. And that's just one of those things where, why is the world that way? I don't know, but that's the way it was, at least for us at the time.
That's exactly right. That's a perfect example of of what feels like a small kind of inconsequential thing it just happens to be, that's just the way things are. My CRM and my ERP are just two different systems. And then by definition, I have to produce in most legacy businesses and in terms of using legacy systems, they go and they produce a PDF, right? They close a deal, sign it, PDF gets generated, lock it into the CRM, sales reps, high five, right?
Yeah.
But then the work begins. Now I got to book the deal and I got to manage the billing system and I got to go create the subscription. And often a lot of those sort of unsung heroes are the ones who have to just go manage all of this administrative work. That's what we're setting out to solve. If the data can cleanly flow from the moment of booking all the way through down to the back end and actually manage the subscription, now we can free up your resources to actually go and help administer and build and actually help scale your business as opposed to just move data around from a PDF into an ERP.
Yeah, it makes sense. So knowing the problem space, I guess a little bit, how are you all approaching the solution? What does that look like? What are some of the main use cases for the product? What does Cacheflow look like, and how are you solving for those problems that we just talked about?
Yeah. Practically, tactically, we're talking about the configure price quote component, the configurator, but in a way that is customer focused. And so I think our first principles approach to building this platform was with the customer in mind. And one of the big call outs it's a good segue from what we were just talking about. We're no longer living in sort of PDF land. We're living in a digital link experience, a digital buy room, a digital checkout experience, so that the customer is going to get something that is living and breathing, so that when they execute it, now that's data that's moving into the downstream. Practically, we're talking about a proposal generator for the seller that's easy to manage, easy to deploy. I like to say that we help our customers close fast and get paid. And so what that really means is seller quickly builds a proposal, gets the digital asset over to the customer. Customer can now see the checkout, the enterprise B2B checkout form. It explains all of their entitlements and everything they need to, and has maybe attachments for the MSA that's been negotiated. And then they sign it. But in the same form, they also then accept how they wish to pay. So all the vendor acceptance steps that as sellers, we used to have to go chase down when the customer was ready to go in order to get paid. Like if I can't book the deal, if I don't have those details, that is now a part of the actual checkout experience. And so in doing that, we're not only satisfying that the deal can be booked and recognized, but we can also charge the customer, and the customer has given us the information necessary so that we can actually facilitate the billing process. So that's happening on the customer end. And then the final step now is that we create the subscription object, billing items, billing history, invoices, and we can do all of the ERP-like functions so that your finance team actually has a place to go and manage the customer finance portion.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. So what does that look like? I guess give us a tour.
So let's do a demo. Absolutely. In fact, let me just jump. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up real quick here. There's a couple of things that I like to start off with. It's worth calling out. We've got the integrations with your traditional CRMs like Salesforce and HubSpot. I'd say our customer base is a 50-50 split on that. And let me just move this out of the way here. So I'm just going to start traditionally. I'm not really going to do a lot of work here, but of course, this should look familiar to a lot of the customers out there. Yes, we're deeply integrated into your CRM ecosystem. And I think the thing that's worth calling out here is that, as is always the case with a proposal generator or a CPQ, you're just going to be in your opportunity object and you're just going to create your proposal. We go an extra step for the seller. We don't necessarily want the seller to have to always cold start the proposal. So we can do things like generate templates. And we've actually got something that's coming up very soon where we'll even be using AI to understand transcripts. And so if the rep and the customer are having a conversation about pricing and packaging, we'll actually translate that into what we think the customer may actually be asking for, so that the template that's produced immediately after the close of the call is a good first start pass of what the customer might be looking to do. So the headline here is you just simply fire up the template from here. And then what will happen is it'll actually bring you directly into Cacheflow. And so this is Cacheflow. So we have now transitioned into one space. I'm going to build this is my configurator. This is my CPQ engine. This is my proposal generator. All of these things are now simply managed in a very easy and delightful space, which is what we're seeing on the screen right now. And that is, as a seller, I don't want to worry about contract details. That's all covered. That's a bidirectional connection to your CRM. We're going to pipe in the customer account details directly from your CRM. Then all I really have to worry about as a seller is my products, right? So I'm simply going to select the products, and I'll show you a couple of things that are really slick here, but the idea is close fast. I don't want to spend more than 3 to 5 minutes in my actual proposal generator, and I'll show you how we can help speed up some things in that process. Legacy systems typically take us down 30, 40 minutes of work, and the next thing you know, it breaks, and I got to go have Deal Desk help me out. Before I look at the product SKUs, though, I'll also say that we're also managing how we're going to set up our payment terms. And right, again, because it's a digital system that's connecting to my billing system, I can literally set that up here in Cacheflow. I can set up auto renew. One of the quiet, quick wins that we find our customers love about this is often in the enterprise space, we find ourselves negotiating over the 3%, 5%, 9% renewal rates, only to have to renegotiate that come the renewal date anyway. In Cacheflow, if the customer actually lets the product renew, we'll automatically calculate that percentage on the exit ARR and then set up the new invoice with the calculation already built in. Additionally, things like additional terms and conditions, attachments, etc. And then, of course, turning on DocuSign. These are all just simply part and parcel with just a couple of clicks for the seller. Mm-hmm. So one thing I will show you just to make the demo interesting, the traditional model that we find with a lot of sellers is they're coming in and they're trying to do a 12-month contract. And for revenue operations, what will happen, and this certainly happened with me at my previous place of employment, I would go get my revenue operations person on a call and I'd say, hey, I want to build growth into this contract. And of course, I would have to take up my RevOps person's time to help me just navigate the back end on the CPQ tool. With Cacheflow, a lot of our revenue operations brothers and sisters love it because now the seller, all they have to do is simply curate the term in a way that gives them in this case, a 2-year deal. And then what I might just simply do is say, you know what, I want to give my customer maybe a price break on the first year. And all I have to do so is just simply on the line item level, customize the price. It's going to pull up a rate card. I can show the discount. I can set the number. I can set the discount, whatever I want to edit, hit save, and I'm done. That's all I have to do. Alternatively, the customer might say, you know what, we are planning on some growth coming up. So again, navigating how we actually build this quote proposal, it's very easy, it's very elegant, all in service of enabling the seller to quickly get this thing out to the buyer. So in this case, I've more or less got my product ready to go. I'm going to come down and just show you one other thing that most sales revenue operations ask us for, and that is we want to make sure we have the guardrails necessary to control and govern our revenue processes and practices. And so to that end, we've got the ability to kick off approval workflows based on any number of triggers that are happening in this proposal engine. It's worth showing. And so the point is that we've got you covered there. But you're also seeing that I can also curate how I might bill my customer. And so this is another quick win that our customers find is elegant because it enables them to be more flexible in setting up in the front end. The customer might say, hey, maybe you can help me create some ease, some cash flow here, et cetera, pardon the pun. And so we can actually set this thing up to say, look, I'll give you the discount price break, right, on the annual upfront. But if you're going to bust my chops because you're telling me we can't get this done and you need a reprieve, I can set this up. In this case, I've got the discount is no longer being represented, but I've got the growth built into the contract. And so the point now is that we can create different ways to actually negotiate with the customer baked right into the digital experience and actually offer this up for the customer. Mm-hmm. And so that's it. I'm just going to send this to my customer now to show you what's happening on the customer side. I also am going to approve this as the approver here. So now this is ready to ship. And so all I'm going to do as the seller is I'm going to hit share, and I'm going to actually go ahead and let's just create I'm going to use myself here as the signer. I'll curate this. Right now, I'm not connected to the actual account in Salesforce, but if this were connected bidirectionally, I've got it connected to a different CRM for the demo. But if it was bidirectionally connected to the account in Salesforce, when I started there, we would just ingest the contact data, right? And so revenue operations is typically happy because we've got full connectivity and extensibility into the data. And this is more or less what the customer is going to see, right? So I'm going to go ahead and copy this link over here. And there we are. So now the customer gets an email. And in that email is a link. Hey, here's the proposal we discussed. And so now the customer can quickly come through here, get a sense as to how this deal has been built out. I get a sense of maybe how my rep has provided me with some incentives here. It looks like if I sign by the end of the month, I'm getting a couple of points So I'm happy with the way that the rep is presenting this. And then you can see I also have some billing options to choose from. So that's easy, that's elegant. But what's really nice is as a seller, instead of chasing down vendor acceptance steps, my customer can literally ensure that I have the right billing address, accounts payable, email address, etc. And then my customer can sign. So maybe this is what this signs this thing. So when the customer is ready to sign, it's just going to invoke a DocuSign workflow, something we're all familiar with, but we actually fired it off from the digital cash flow proposal. And so I'm just going to sign this really quick. And once this is all signed up, what you're going to see here, go ahead and finish, is a signed order form. However, what we're really trying to enable the sellers and revenue operations to really do in a single motion is not just close fast, but get paid, ensure payment. And so in this case, maybe as the CFO, I can sign the deal, but maybe I kick it off to Sammy FP&A. And so I have now an option to kick this off to my head of FP&A or my accounts payable person. And what they can do is actually identify the vendor acceptance step. In this case, I'm going to go back and I'm just going to say, you know what, I can take care of it. So I'm going to hit proceed to payment. And you'll see now it brings me down to a section where I actually identify how I wish to pay. And so all in one single pass, we've not only enabled the seller to sell to close fast, but we're also enabling the buyer to identify how they wish to pay via vendor acceptance, all inside of the same motion, which of course brings us now to booking and finance. So now this deal is accepted. I'm going to come back into cash flow and I'm actually going to take off my customer hat for a moment and put back on my rep hat. This was the deal that we just did. As you can see here, we shared a waiting signature. It is worth calling out. Revenue operations tends to get a little bit of a fist bump when we turn on a cash flow, because with cash flow, we're giving the sellers visibility into when my prospects are engaging with my proposal. So something that we want to make sure we're providing that signal to the business. But all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go up here and hit refresh because the buyer bought, right? And so now we've got a completed order. And the full value story now comes full circle because not only did the buyer buy, but we've also now produced the subscription data. And so now we're in the back end of cash flow. First thing I'll call out is that all this data, the details, the account information, the entitlements, the signed document, that's all also pushed back into your CRM. So that's big call out number one. We'll close the loop. But in the event that you wanted to come in here and observe things like the invoicing, how it was paid, we can connect it to your ERP, right? All of that is also now being facilitated in cash flow.
Yeah. And do you guys, so I see on the left there, you got usage billing, and I was just thinking about like different billing types. So obviously you had, I think it was probably like a per user per year structure in the one that we walked through. Are you able to support, again, like usage, consumption billing, all the different billing options that and ways to bill, right? A flat, like a platform fee on a per year basis. You've got one-time professional services fees, like just all the complexity that can go into the, I don't want to call it random, but like the different ways, the creative ways that you can bill and charge.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's the right question. It's the first question that we have to make sure we get with our customers. I'm always asking, what are your products? How do you sell? Two quick call outs. The first one is that the market is adopting a consumption usage approach more and more. So the short answer is absolutely. Via an API, you can connect the consumption and usage or active licensing or whatever you're doing in your product. Wherever that data model lives, we would just via API connect and then pull back into cash flow. And we'll do it at a customer subscription level. So as customer A is consuming month over month, that will change billing events going forward. So the short answer is yes. And then the longer answer is we support one-time fees, we support recurring fees, we support usage fee types. We support on the recurring types, you've got stair-step, graduated, volume-based, right? So if you want to have breakpoint pricing happen as the customer grows, all of the above, our product data schema supports.
Mm-hmm.
So that goes very deep. And to your point, a lot of our customers are figuring out ways to start adopting a hybrid model where they introduce usage in some way, shape, or form. And that's easy to do with cash flow.
Yeah. And so you mentioned Salesforce, HubSpot, main CRM integrations. You said bidirectional sync in terms of pushing things back. We talked about e-signature, DocuSign integration you showed. Are there other like is that embedded in the platform? Do people need to already have DocuSign? What if they're using a different e-signature provider?
Yeah, right now all of our customers are using DocuSign. That's embedded. We are looking at adding some additional e-signatures as we scale up. What's really nice about Cacheflow is we have a very diverse portfolio of customer types, and so we do get asked about Dropbox signatures and other systems. We're always adding. We're going to go full ecosystem integration marketplace style approach to the build out in the coming years. And so, yes, we're always going to be adding things to the integrations and connectors. That said, DocuSign is really nice because you only need one license. Some of my customers will bring us on board and they'll retire 50 DocuSign licenses right out of the gate because we just need one DocuSign license and it's all happening via integration. And if you're in, and for sellers out there, they're saying, oh, but I'm going to lose the visibility into the engagement. That's precisely why in Cacheflow, we want to make sure we're giving you that visibility in terms of your customers and viewing. So we will capture all of that signal data. You won't lose that with when you consolidate.
Yeah, as you were walking through this, I was having flashbacks to the kind of an early stage company that I was at pre any sort of CPQ solution. It was just like we had a Google Sheet sort of template order form, and that's where we had all the standard packages. And so the process was the rep would get to agreement with the buyer. They'd send me the order form, right? I'd review it. I'd be like, okay, yes, this looks good. I'd send it for DocuSign. It would go to the person that would be signing, and inevitably I would get pinged. Hey, did they open it yet? Did they look at it yet? No, or it's yes, they did, or I'll let you know when they sign. And then again, then they sign, and then you've got this PDF, and you attach the PDF to the opportunity record. Then you got to go into say Stripe, make sure that you create the subscription, that it's got all the terms. Then the other thing is you've got the differences between, which you all laid out really nicely here, between the contracted term, right? Which is, hey, you're agreeing to 12 months or 24 months, but the billing cycles, which are different, which a lot of tools like a Stripe, right? Like to them, it's either like the subscription and the billing term are the same. And if they're not, then it doesn't matter, right? Like it doesn't look at them in a different way. So yeah, like all of those things are really solved for based on what you all have laid out here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's a good call out. I can tell you as a manager, one of the first things I did when I was working with my team is I would go get that little DocuSign. I think it was like a Chrome extension. And one of my favorite things to do as a manager was to be the only person with visibility. It was both a nightmare. It was blessing and a curse because my sellers could go scratch the itch. But yes, we were sitting there and hover over it to just refresh. And how many times did they open it, Adam? So yeah, and for what it's worth, that is obviously a compelling signal, right? So as a seller and for revenue operations to systematize using that data is actually really important. And it's actually worth mentioning. We do studies and analyze the proposal behaviors across all of our customers anonymously. We anonymize data sets and we say, it turns out what we've learned in this case across somewhere between 10 and 30,000 proposals is when a buyer opens a proposal within a 2-week period of time, between 1 and 3 times, they're 20% likely to close. Between 4 and 5 times, they're like 35% likely to close. But when it's 5 to 10 times, the likelihood of closing jumps up to 69%. And so we're really keen on leaning into that data, to that understanding, and trying to create and curate some product around that particular signal. We think there's a lot of opportunity to help sellers and revenue operations curate behavior around that, nudge the customer, nudge the rep, maybe nudge the rep. But to your point, yeah, we're creating all of the billing data. So now, of course, here comes the hero, accounts receivable, right? Finance, a fairly underserved member of most enterprise businesses. You're now going to get everything that you need to understand what's happening with respect to the actual invoice, as well as when it's been reconciled and paid. So we'll push the data back to our ERP as well. And that third piece that's actually worth mentioning is because the proposal is the subscription, when your customer success team and your account manager team is being asked to go expand or increase the net dollar retention strategy. This was something that happened. We all saw the sort of market drop off a few years ago, and that was something that was pretty substantial. And so investors were telling, boards were telling their companies, go do more with your install base because the net new business is drying up a little bit. That's a big win for our customers in Cacheflow. So your AM team, your account managers can come in here, and now maybe we want to do a quick change proposal. If I'm going to upsell this particular customer whom I've just sold, here's what I would do. I'm going to come in here, I hit change proposal. I'm going to turn off start on signing, and I'm just going to kick this thing out a few months. And what you'll see now is the napkin math of proration is now a thing of the past. So let's actually maybe make this customer, we're going to add some users for this customer. We are going to, maybe I'll add a one-time here, just as an example. I grabbed a random product here. And so now what we're seeing is that we make it really easy. Like I said at the beginning, and if I didn't say it, the legacy CPQ is built with a transaction in mind. It produces a PDF. What we want to make sure we're doing is we're enabling you to build a relationship. And so we make it really easy to see what's actually happening with this particular customer. So I'm just going to go ahead and actually, let me add a product that actually has a balance on. It looks like somebody was, we have an active environment here. So he'll just add, this is better. Here we go. Now I'm getting some very clear call outs as to how the proration of this new balance. So by adding some users, by adding a product, I can now see the delta. And this is going to, of course, change the billing event, right? So I'm actually going to now introduce a new billing event in the billing cycle. So in this case, I can do one of two things as the AM. I can share it back with the customer again, right? Or I can just, customer says, hey, just go ahead and add it to my company. I just need a couple more users. Cool, accept changes. So I'm going to go ahead and accept on behalf of this customer. And now doing so, I'm going to come back to the subscription to show you, we're now going to add this to your billing schedule as a prorated event. And so again, it's these little things that now that yesterday used to be Excel spreadsheets and going and telling revenue operations and deal desk to go do a thing and waiting 24 hours because they were too busy doing other things. Now it's all happening in a seamless experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. And this platform looks like it's capable of a lot. Folks who are sitting out there, maybe watching this, who's typically a good fit for the Cacheflow product and solution? And then any examples of customers that you have today?
Yeah, a good fit for us right now are commercial mid-market. And what I think what I really mean is, I'll tell you, a great fit is if you are a sales team who moves relatively quickly and is probably having a lot of conversations with a lot of customers, we're going to be a perfect fit. We work very well in the enterprise, but only the real reason why our customers in the enterprise buy us is because they set up their subscription right the moment the deal closes. And so that very simple value proposition enables us to help customers that don't necessarily have a ton of reps to just sit back, collect, boom, move on. But if you've got a verticalized business with a couple of first line leaders, and each leader might have, I don't know, 3 to 8 reps, depending, and maybe you're disparate in different geos, we're a really great fit. And if your mission is to figure out ways to shorten cycles, you want to take a 6-month cycle and you want to try and figure out a way to get it down to 4 or 5 months. And obviously that's predicated on the sales process and how you're actually going to market. But if that's a mind frame that you possess, Cacheflow ends up fitting really well. That's a really good mind frame for a Cacheflow adoption, because everything feels speedy. We just got to make sure everything's efficient and my reps are productive, and we're spending time administering systems. We have a lot of customers, Pop Menu, Job Adder. We just brought on a really cool company in Utah called Hone. We run the gamut in terms of where those customers are. They can be in UK. We brought on Patchworks. We've got an EMEA presence. We've got a large North American presence, and we have an APAC presence as well. There's no customer that can't use us, but the customers who get the most value from us are the ones who are looking to inject speed and efficiency into their sales process.
Yeah, makes sense. And I guess you talked about speed and efficiency. So when it comes to like implementation and setup, like the ability for a new customer to get rolling, what does that process look like for you guys? How quickly can it happen? How involved are you? How much is up to the customer that you have? What does implementation look like?
Yeah, it's a great question. So a big part of our evaluation process that we like to run is we will conduct a technical fit assessment, a TFA, we call it TFA, technical fit assessment, where effectively meeting number two, we'll look at your ecosystem. You'll tell us your sales process, you'll tell us the amount fields, we'll get a sense of how you want to report, right? Obviously, we can generate a ton of data, ARR, MRR, TCV, ACV reporting, usage, aging invoices. And so once we've got a good picture of how you need us to act and behave to support your business model, I can give you typically an idea of what the level of effort to deploy is. But 90% of our customers after that conversation are qualified as what we call a green fit status. And in the event that you're a green fit status, you're 3 to 6 weeks to get stood up. All we're really doing is we're turning on the account, we're building out the product book, and we're doing some training and enablement. And in some cases, we might be doing a history migration. So if you have some customers in an existing billing system and you want to bring them in so that we can very easily change and renew them from Cacheflow, that's just a migration effort. And so between those variables, a good estimation is typically 3 to 6 weeks, but depending on how fast the customer wants to move, it could be longer, it could be shorter.
Yep. And when it comes to ROI and return on investment, I know on the return side, I heard things like speed,
Yeah.
efficiency, generating more revenue quickly, even heard things like cost savings, right? The ability to go from 50 DocuSign licenses down to one. So the other side of that, the ROI equation is the cost side. So how do you all typically charge or price yourselves? Is it per user per month? Is there a platform fee? Is it based on number of proposals? What sort of like framework there can you?
Yeah, excellent questions. Right now, we're a traditional SaaS model in that users and platform fee. We had a one-time fee, but what we've actually streamlined our implementation integrations, and so we've actually removed the one-time implementation fee. So it's all the customer has to worry about is the platform fee, and platform fee really breaks down into kind of two big segments, right? There's what we call sales flow, which might be proposal building and just pushing the data back into your CRM, right? Where we're giving you the contract data, we're giving the line items. Again, this is HubSpot. Maybe it is in Salesforce. So sales flow, completing the proposal creation and pushing the data back to your CRM, and or finance flow, where now we're also potentially picking up and managing the billing events, the subscription data, the usage billing, et cetera, et cetera. So depending on which flavor of the application we're looking to deploy, that will be the variable you're looking at from a cost perspective. The only other outstanding item is migration. That's a scoped effort. So we want to determine how many customers we're migrating, and based on that information, we can get you a read on cost.
Yeah. Yep. And last two more questions for you. One, so I know, like you said, you've been in this space for a while. You've obviously been a seller. You've experienced a variety of different CPQ tools. You're now on, I'll say, still on the selling side, but now you're selling a new age CPQ solution. So
Yeah.
probably seen customers migrate from a bunch of different existing or legacy products. You've probably helped a lot of customers that have not had a CPQ solution before. But if you were to pick just one thing that differentiates you and sets Cacheflow at the top, what's the one thing that you would mention that puts you all at the top of the list?
I'm biased, and I'm gonna say, yeah, and the answer is gonna be hacky, but I'm biased. But it's the reason why I came to Cacheflow, and it's simply time. The time you get back when you deploy a system like Cacheflow versus the amount of tears I had to fight back with my team, at least them coming to me with, I submitted the proposal request, I built the quote, I ran into a roadblock, it's quarter end, I got to get my desk person on a call. That person's not actually available right now. And therefore, my customer, who happens to be in a different part of the globe, isn't going to be able to sign this thing. And I'm going to be butting up against the quarter. And I might not go to club, Adam. It's the time that is now saved because you're no longer cold starting a configurator. You are quickly getting the customer into a place where they're comfortable, and you're not having to necessarily go build some sophisticated bookings step. How many times did the deal get closed and then deal desk came back to the rep and said, I didn't get the accounts payable email information, right? Or the PO. We have a field right in the application where you can grab the PO number. Whereas before it was, you can't book the deal without the PO. And now I've got the rep who did all this 6 months of work to get the deal done. And because of a number, which makes business sense, they are at jeopardy of being paid commission. All of those swirling things equate to time wasted. And
Yeah.
so, candidly, the reason why I really want to take this product and go build the best configurator proposal end-to-end quote to cash system on the earth is because I want to give people's weekends back. I genuinely want to give people the opportunity to raise their kids as opposed to sitting and hovering over systems. So it's time. That's the one thing. It certainly, it depends on, I talk to finance people, it's time. I talk to revenue operations, it's data cleanliness, right? Finance it accuracy. But for me, I would say the time saved and the feedback I get from the field sellers is takes me 2 minutes to build a proposal, takes me 30 seconds to close the deal. My bosses are all happy because we collected the payment information on the same GoPass. That's, yeah.
I can agree with that and support that as well. And I can give you a real life example of what that time back looks like. I remember at that last startup that I was telling you about before, literally it was the end of November. The last day of the month happened to be on a Friday.
Yeah.
And so 5 p.m. rolled around. It was like, okay, we're good. All of our deals made it out. Everything's been signed. So that evening, I'm putting up Christmas lights. Literally on a ladder, it's 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m. And all of a sudden my phone starts buzzing and it's the VP of sales. And he's, hey, I've got one more deal that my guy is like ready to sign. I need you to get this thing out. So it's okay. Down the ladder I go, inside I go, because it's month end. Someone's gonna get paid based on this thing getting signed. Like I have to do my job. All of those things can literally be avoided if we just would have had a product.
That's it. That is honestly, that is exactly what I'm talking about. I can't tell you how many times I would be almost disappointed. The customer was like, hey, send me a quote.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, okay, who do I, and then I go do this and then they hit a roadblock. So I'll make sure it's ready. And then, then the rep's going to call me, and rep's on East Coast time. He's already, so perfect anecdote of it's precisely what, it's efficiency. It's an easily used word, but when you actually see it working, it really is material. Yeah.
Well, how can if someone out there wants to either learn more or give the product a try, what's the best way for them to do that?
They can come right to our website. There's a book a demo function right there on the website. Certainly anybody that wants to comply. And we certainly welcome anybody who's even just keen to be educated. There's a little bit of an education movement right now happening in the market. I think that most revenue operations people just expect systems to be heavy and require a lot of stitch work. If you're interested in just learning more, but by all means, feel free to reach out to us there, or you can just simply contact me directly at adam.wainwright@getcashflow.com. And I'm totally happy to have conversations anytime. I'm an open book, open door. I want to make sure people feel good about what it is that we're trying to do, because it is a bit of a movement.
Yep. And yeah, the entire Cacheflow team is in the RevOps co-op Slack group as well. So for those of you that are in there, you've got some folks you can ping there. But Adam, thanks for giving us a run through of the product. It looks awesome. Like I said, I have some flashbacks of all the time that I could have had saved from Google Form, Google Doc hell, Stripe hell. So, but here I am now instead hoping to spread the word and help some other revenue operators with products like Cacheflow. So thanks for giving us the tour, my friend. I really appreciate it.
Love it. Thank you, Matt. And quickly want to say thank you to your team as well. You guys hosted us in San Diego. We had a blast, and we're looking forward to continue working with RevOps Co-op and all in your community.
Yeah. Thanks, Adam. I appreciate that.
Grateful, Matt.